Yes, it is finally here. Finally, revolutionary, game-changing, innovative, industry-leading NIO's 150 kilowatt hour semi-solid state battery pack is finally here. We got leaked images and it is going to be announced on NIO Day, and here is everything you need to know about this game-changing thing that is going to revolutionize everything. All right, so first of all, look at this picture. This is leaked image. They had internal testing of this 150 kilowatt hour battery pack on a ET7, and they did a very long range test, and you can see over there down below they've already driven 1,044.2 kilometers on the ET7, and they've achieved a average energy consumption of 12.7 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Now, if you do some math and do some extrapolation, that means 150 kilowatt hour battery pack gives you 1,181 kilometers of actual range with that battery pack on a ET7. This is absolutely game changing, guys. Game changing. And of course, full launch is going to be on NIO Day coming up very soon, and apparently, according to some information, the first batch will have 2,750 of these, 2750 of these batteries. And really cool, interesting stats about these batteries: only 20 kilograms heavier than the 100 kilowatt hour battery pack. The solid state cells have 360 watt hours per kilogram of energy density, and the total average, because some of them are solid state cells, some of them are not, but the average is around 260.8 watt hours per kilogram for the entire battery pack. So this is absolutely amazing. What's really amazing about this is the fact that with other competitors like Zeekr, etc., if you want to get 1,000 kilometers of range, you usually have to sacrifice on performance. You would usually have to choose the long range version with very crappy acceleration because you only have single motor, maybe like 5 point something seconds or 6 point something seconds. But here on a NIO ET7, NIOs are all dual motors, 3.6 seconds, 0 to 100. You can get 1,000 kilometers of range. And the game-changing part, it still only takes 3 minutes to swap to a fully charged 150 kilowatt hour battery pack. No matter how fast you fast charge, you are not going to be able to get 150 kilowatt hours in 3 minutes. Impossible unless you burn the whole thing up. So once again, this is just revolutionary step forward. With NIOs, you can already temporarily rent a high capacity battery for 1 day, cost you around $8, $8 US, and you're able to get 40% more range. So that's from the 70 kilowatt hour pack to the 100. And with this, you can pretty much double your range and maybe even rent it for 1 day if that's possible. But I think at this very start, they might only do monthly rentals and maybe even annual rentals, but monthly is the most probable scenario. And one really interesting thing, 2,750 of these batteries, that means that each swap station, because they have around 2,200 swap stations, each swap station only gets around one of these batteries. So that makes sense, because not everybody's going to be using this battery pack, and it is very expensive, yes, and that is why from what I heard from the NIO manager, etc., they're not going to sell this because it's just unfeasible for people to buy it, and they wouldn't recommend buying it anyways. They don't even recommend people buy the 100 kilowatt hour battery pack because you can rent it. So it's going to be pretty much strictly rental only, and if you need it, you can rent it. If you don't need it, don't rent it. So this is just another big selling factor for NIO, and it shows that NIO is once again, you know, in front of the pack. It is an industry leader, an innovator, one of the front guys, all right? Everybody else, they're just way too focused on selling cars and copying other people and trash talking and doing all that kind of stuff. And they're not actually the industry leaders in terms of tech. All right, people. That's why a lot of people that actually know about cars sometimes look down at the other brands. They think they don't have any technology. It's just comfort. All right, but the actual guts of the car, you look at those guys, sucks. All right, nobody would in the right mind would buy those cars. That's what most people think. But for NIO, of course, they have their own core technology. You know, battery tech, you got swapping tech, you got all this self-developed things. That's where all the R&D money is going to, right? And investors are really concerned about NIO profitability-wise. But if you think about it, if you take away R&D, NIO is already profitable just by operations alone. So it's the R&D fact. So what is R&D going to? Of course, infrastructure, and then also the important tech. They're self-developing everything to make margins better. They're self-developing chips, self-developing brakes, self-developing suspension, they're chassis tuning. They're self-developing a lot of things. And it's also to give them the competitive edge over the other guys. Because if you just buy something that everybody else can use, then what makes your car that special anyways, right? So you got to think about it that way. You have Orin X chip. Somebody else can also put Orin X chip in the car. But if you have your own proprietary chip, like what Tesla has, right, it's impossible for someone else to have the same chip. So this is something to think about. And this, for the first time ever, this battery is going to break everything. And because you can rent it, it is just absolutely amazing. And remember, I always say this. If you buy a NIO, anytime there's new battery tech that comes out, you can enjoy that battery tech. Whereas if you're a Tesla owner and Elon Musk announces some new battery tech, that's got nothing to do with you. You got to buy a new Tesla to enjoy that battery tech. Not for NIO. For NIO, every single NIO owner is capable of enjoying the new battery tech when it comes out, because it's swappable, it's truly upgradable. There's no battery degradation. You don't have to worry about spending a ton of money buying new batteries because your old one degraded. So this is like things that you got to really understand. So with this, NIO is breaking records. NIO's vehicles are the ones that can drive the furthest, with the furthest actual range. And remember, this is calculated based on the actual energy consumption. So 1,181 kilometers of actual range. Whereas with some of the other competitors, they might say 1,000 kilometers of NEDC range, where in actuality, if you test it out, they might only get like 600 or 700 kilometers. And that would be a very optimistic assumption. And it is true, because most of the time, the actual range is only about 60% of the labeled range. Whereas NIO, you know, they actually got that much range. That's the actual distance based on energy consumption. So this is pretty crazy, pretty insane. So NIO's cars are the ones with the furthest range and also very fast, which is just something that you don't ever see anywhere else. Now we know why they weren't talking about it on the earnings or any of the launch events, because it is finally coming on NIO Day in a couple days. That is very nice. Let me know what you think about it.